So this is part two of Supergirl, Woman of Wonder. It's a look at the series by Tom King. It was an 8-issue series. I don't think it was canceled. I think that was the full run of it. And when we left off, Supergirl had been hit 3 times in the chest. Well, she decided to go to a red sun planet to get depowered because she wanted to celebrate her 21st birthday alone. They never said she wanted to celebrate alone, but she clearly was, and get drunk. And she can't be superpowered and get drunk at the same time. So she got shot with 3 arrows, but seemed to have very little effect on her, because I don't know why. But anyway, so she's now traveling. Her traveling companion is this alien woman who had her sister, or I'm sorry, her father killed by a guy named Krem, and so they're out there trying to find Krem to take revenge on him, and they are on a ship traveling through space. And when she was at the tavern, she was dressed in a cloak, but now she's just in full Supergirl costume. So I assumed at that point, well, I said, well, okay, now she's Supergirl. She's got her superpowers back. So some alien comes up to her and threatens her because apparently Superman put 2 of his brothers in the Phantom Zone. I can't talk. And she looks really unconcerned. And he asks if she's Supergirl, and then she says, "So if I'm not Supergirl, who the blank do you think I am?" So she still has no superpowers, but does not seem to be concerned at all at this gun pointing at her head. She gives him an elbow to the ribs, knocks him to the ground, and then stomps on his head, I guess. Um, I have such an issue with this because we know anyone who's followed the DCU would know that the alien life forms in the DCU come in a wide variety of strength, from some that are much weaker than humans to ones like Mongol's race, which appear to be possibly stronger than Superman in some stories. They also have all sorts of alien weapons, so unless the 21-year-old Supergirl knows every alien and all the weapons, how does she know what she's dealing with here? And if you're an alien with an axe to grind with Superman, you'd think you'd be bringing your A game against a Kryptonian. So it really makes no sense that some rando alien that looks to be about human level of strength would approach Supergirl, and just none of it makes sense. And it's disappointing because Tom King is such an intelligent writer that it just comes off as quite silly. So the spaceship gets attacked by this big dragon, okay? But she has no superpowers, so they're all going to die. And it turns out that one of the passengers has a prescription for a pill which contains red kryptonite. To anyone who doesn't know what red kryptonite is, it is a form of kryptonite with unpredictable results. Sometimes good, most times bad. She takes the pill, and it just seems to give her powers back. So maybe in pill form, it works out better for her. So another not great issue, in my opinion. It got a 8.0 on Comic Book Roundup, the aggregate site. Here it is. And, I know from experience that reviewers tend to be very generous with the first 1 or 2 issues. And so a 7.8 and an 8.0, those aren't great scores for a Tom King series that's just starting off. We get a little flashback to after she got shot with the arrows and all she had to go through to get Crypto and her friend back. We find out that the arrows were poisoned, but I guess it didn't have much effect on humans. They're more for animals, so Crypto's not in a good way. Now we get to issue 3, chapter 2, and she's back to being superpowered. Yay! And it is the highest rated and most reviewed of all the issues. And I think it is pretty good. She goes to a planet, and there seems to be some kind of a mystery. She's apparently they locked up Krem, but they're denying it, and so it's kind of a mystery as to what's going on. Apparently, there were two races or two groups, the purples and the blue, and the purples seem to be gone. And when they ask about it, the aliens get quite testy. And at one point, they try to murder. I don't know if they're just trying to murder her alien friend or both of them, but I do like this moment when she's shielding her, and I thought that's pretty cool. So of course now Supergirl is invulnerable to bullets or projectiles, so they do nothing to her. And then she go. I think this is like the mayor or something, and he's been a real jackass. So she goes there, wrecks his desk. Here is a picture that I don't know what the hell's going on here. So I always got the impression maybe the two women were similar size, but now she looks like the alien woman looks like a child, except uh, Supergirl's dimensions are all bizarre. Like if she were flying, let's say she's flying, that may make sense for her feet to be there, except they're way down here. So that's not actually the only picture I saw with these bizarre dimensions. So I think the artist is a little inconsistent. The artist is Bilkis Evely. I don't even know if that's a man or a woman. But they do find the purples, and the purples are all dead. Somebody has wiped them out. And so it turns out that Krem, so here is Krem, was locked up in a prison. And this group came, these brigands, and apparently what they do is they threaten planets or threaten civilizations to either pay up or they'll kill them. And so apparently they find Krem in the jail and they like him, and so they add him to the brigands, and they the blues pay them to not to wipe out the purples. The blues basically pay them to not wipe out them, and are kind of saying, well, oh, go wipe out the purples. So it's not that they're necessarily asking to wipe out the purples, but they're just trying to send them in a different direction. And there is a definite it's a definite allegory for racism. So I would, the 9.2, I don't know that I would give that one a 9.2, but I would say that of the first three, it's definitely the best. And that score might be partially just a big exhale from the reviewers that Supergirl is finally Supergirl and not just some depowered woman. Also, it's, I guess they must have healed her up good, because there's no seemingly adverse effects from getting hit 3 times in the chest with arrows, and even her uniform seems perfectly fine. So, like I said, Tom King is generally an extraordinarily intelligent writer. He is my favorite writer at DC currently, but this one's got problems. The 3rd issue I thought was fine. I thought that was good. But the first 2 issues were a pretty weak jump out of the gate. So we'll see where it goes from here. I have read a little further through, but I'm probably almost halfway through, and we'll see what they do. They're supposedly going to turn this into a movie, and I'm sure we're going to get to see a drunken Supergirl talking about her birthday, beating up some guy, despite having no powers. So we'll see where it goes. But anyway, that's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and this is my part 2.